Hey, y'all. Happy Sunday. Oh my gosh. And we are running just a tad late because it has been quite a weekend. And to be honest with y'all, I didn't even know if I was going to make it to the live today, but I was like, you know what? It's about being consistent, and you can only truly be consistent when you're willing to push through, even on the tired, worn out days, which was today. And Dr. Wallace Hall will be joining me in a moment because he was like, oh, I thought you was tired. I didn't know we was going to go live. And so he still had some things to do, but I think I hear him coming now. But yeah, it has been a wonderful yet crazy, crazy weekend. So we had company that just not too long ago left. Hey, Deborah, how are you? How are you? Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I had to try to clean up a little bit. I had the sneaker gala. So that's what I'm about to talk about. We had company. My bestie from Tampa came in, and my goddaughter for the sneaker ball. And so they just left because their flight, they should be taking off about now. So Deborah was saying, hey, Wallace.
Hey, Deborah.
So so they just left. So their flight should be taking off. So they just left here like maybe 2 hours ago. And I have had stuff going on since Saturday morning because they got here like 3:00 Saturday morning. And so we did the whole glam squad thing here, getting ready for the gala. It was nonstop. We went to the gala yesterday. It was amazing. Yeah. Then we came back to my house and literally talked and laughed and hung out until after 4:00 this morning, y'all. And then everybody was staying here. So I got up this morning and I cooked fried chicken. Like yesterday, I did a brunch while we were getting ready for the gala. So we did chicken and waffles and mimosas and all that. Then we came in last night. I'm making eggs and bacon for everybody in the midnight hour. Because, you go to those events and stuff and don't really eat, or, it's not like it's a plate to get you full. Then I got up this morning after being up till 4:00 this morning and made fried fish and chicken and grits and potatoes and all that today.
They did a thing.
Yeah. So I'm tired. And I was on program last night for the entire gala. So yeah, it's been a lot, but I'm here. I'm pushing through. And that's the kind of stuff too. It was a lot of fun, but that's the kind of thing too, like as a content creator, a coach or whatever, like you have to show up, and especially coaching. And I'm telling people sometimes you got to push through, and I'm going to take my self-care, but the things that I need to do, like showing up for these lives and everything. Yeah, I got to do that. So I'm here. Hey, y'all. Hey. So please remember to like and share the video. Wallace and I are going to talk about navigating communication in a relationship, in a marriage, whatever. And so many things that we talk about are going to cover a multitude of things. Like it's not just for married couples. We feel like this information is good for singles as well. Like we say, any singles who have the desire to one day be a part of a thriving relationship. We also feel like a lot of information that we share can be effective in other relationships in your life that aren't necessarily of the romantic status, whether it's navigating relationships with your children, your friends, and especially this topic of effective communication. So of course, when you see the two of us, you're going to think, married couple stuff, but wherever you are in your stage of life, just see how you can implement some of the things that we say, because soft skills, emotional intelligence cover a multitude of different types of relationships. Like even you need effective communication, even in business relationships, but we are going to be talking about mainly in a romantic relationship. Let me see. Hey, Amanda, how are you, love? So good to see you. I'm glad you tuned in. And Deborah, I saw that. Yeah, sounds like fun. It was tons of fun, but your girl is totally wore out. So one of the first things, like this is kind of a second topic in and of itself when I do different seminars or whatever. Or sometimes they call me in for effective communication, but then I also have a whole different topic that I speak on, which is active listening. However, those two things go hand in hand because a big portion of your communication is going to be listening, right?
Right.
And so you always want to listen, in my opinion, more than you talk. And that is huge in a relationship, especially in the very beginning, because you're learning each other. So everything can't just be about you. I think we shared with y'all in our last live how Wallace used to literally interview me early on in the relationship, and he was trying to learn me. So I've been talking this whole time. So like, what was your whole tactic in that interviewing, and what would you say like to couples? And I know we touched on it a little bit before, and I know a lot of times when we did it, we were being silly, but does that really help you?
Yeah, it does. It's a good way, a fun way of, learning someone is not being super, super intrusive, although it is, but it's not. It's kind of a fun way of just getting to know each other, asking a little lighthearted questions, just stuff, just kind of just think. And you learn how people respond to different things, learn how that person interacts when asked certain questions. You don't really just dig deep into, tell me your deepest, darkest thing, although you may ask that, but, you're just kind of being lighthearted, having fun. That's what it's about. That's what I was trying to do when I was, we was doing that. But really, I had no agenda in mind. I was just sitting there just trying to make you laugh and have a good time. We're just up late, just having a good time, laughing and talking. And that's just kind of the way that went. But I do see how they can go with couples, especially when we start talking about, interviewing each other. And I think it's good anyway, just to kind of find out who each other is. And, you find out, some things about the person, how you like the person. It's strange that you find go, 3, 4, 5 months into a relationship, you still don't know what their favorite food is. You don't know what they like to do, how they like to spend time. People put out, I know a lot of people go on these little dating apps and things like that. And like long walks in the park and like this and that. But that's not really true. You may like long walks in the park, but it's not something you want to do every day.
Right.
It may be something you want to do every once in a while. So you find those things out, like say one of my favorite foods is Mexican food, but some people, they don't want to eat. Maybe they say, oh, my favorite food is Mexican food too. Well, you can't eat, you're not going to eat tacos every day. You want to change it up. So, you just find a little more things out like that. You just find out the highlights in life, and you find out how people interact, and how cohesive you can make a relationship out of it.
And I think another thing, when you mentioned, I don't know, you said something and it made me think, when you said some people can be together for months or years or whatever and not know like the smallest things about somebody, which would be like what their favorite food is or what their color. Another part of communication is listening, of course, and paying attention just in general.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things that you can find out. Hey, Miss Kathy, how are you? How are you? So many things that you can find out about somebody by just kind of watching them and the things they do and what their habits are, and listening to them when they're not even talking to you, when they're thinking out loud, when they're talking to other people, having conversations. You can learn so much about them. And that is a part of communication. We oftentimes feel like communication is talking, and it's not. There are so many different things. And sometimes a good way to communicate is to not talk, sometimes to know when it's just time to be quiet and listen, or just be quiet as a couple. We have shared with you guys like our style of how we argue, because we do have arguments, we do have disagreements, but we do. Okay. So you don't even remember because they don't last long. And that's the thing, because we don't let them last a long time, and we have to decide at some point, if we have not come to any type of conclusion, any type of resolve, then it's just time to stop talking. Because the more you talk and you think you're trying to get your point across, the more likely you're going to say something that you regret. And once you say it, once it comes out of your mouth, it's out. Even if you apologize for it, you still said it. And people can forgive, but you can't force yourself to forget, and you move on. But certain things that are said are going to stick and be somewhere in the back of your mind. So sometimes the best thing that you can do, and the best communication style, is to be silent. Don't go on and on and on, especially in an argument, and start saying things. And eventually, like we said, it won't even be about what the initial argument is about. You're just saying words, trying to be hurtful. Mm-hmm. And it's just not worth it. So sometimes the best thing is just to, we just need to stop talking.
Yeah, I call it like, I equate to a lot of things to sports, by me being in, around football and basketball in my life. The thing about it is getting pulled off sides. The offensive line is supposed to stay there and be disciplined, But sometimes, like in relationship, when you're in arguments and things like that, you got to stay in character. And sometimes when those things happen, things kind of go on and on and on. You get pulled off sides, and that's just not where you're supposed to be. And so basically, you should be able to stay within yourself. And like I said, when these arguments go on and on, you end up acting out of character. You say hurtful things because now, people arguing for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Really, now you're just trying to be hurtful. You're trying to be hurtful. You're trying to get your point across and be hurtful to the other person. And really, do you really want to hurt the one you love?
Right. That's just something in the moment. And so navigating communication. Hey, Kelly, I know I put her up there so I would remember to say hello and then still forgot. Oh, well, thank you. So I know Miss Kathy is wise. So Miss Kathy agrees. So we're on the right track. But yeah, that's the thing. And just pushing that narrative to try to be right all the time. That's not effective because most of the time we're going to think we're right. Every once in a while, somebody can convince you that you're wrong. But most of the time you're going to think you're right. But you have to know that you're not right all the time. And it's just not worth winning an argument, because what does that even mean? The fact that you got your way or the fact that you have hurt somebody's feelings, it doesn't make sense. It's not worth it. And you have to realize that being right is not necessarily always the most important thing. As mature adults, we should be able to sometimes just be like, you know what, that's okay. We'll just agree to do it your way, or we will just leave this alone for a while. Whatever, it's just not important enough, because now you're right, but the person that you love is upset. And like he said, do we really want to hurt the person that we love, the person that we've committed to spend the rest of our life with? Of course, in that moment, we think that's what we want, but that's not truly what you want. And so a part of effective communication and soft skills as a couple is that emotional intelligence piece, being able to gauge your emotions and be control enough of your emotions where you're able to edit yourself and filter your speech before you hurt feelings, because it's not that important.
I mean, is it really that important? And this is something you got to do when you got to check your ego a lot of times in relationships and things like that. Is it really that important to prove to her that I'm right?
Oh, so because you think you're right, but you just proven it to me.
Is it really that important for me to prove to her and make sure she knows that I'm right? And that's it. There's a lot of those situations. It's not. It's really not worth it, because at the end of the day, it's just me and her, and how we feel about each other, how we interact with each other. That's really what it boils down to. Before it's me having to prove them right or her just prove them right. A very wise person shared with me many, many years ago. As long as you know you're right, what difference does it make?
And so many things that we argue about as couples are not really that important. It's just a difference of opinion or whatever. It's just not that big of a deal. And so what I also say is the art of writing has been like a lost, art. People don't do that. And it's okay to still write each other letters. That's another part of effective communication. And writing letters, even though most of the time we want to think of that with a fondness and just like, I miss you, I love you so much, like when your soldier goes off to war type of thing, or to the pen, whatever it is. You write these love letters. Okay. However, there is nothing wrong with writing letters instead of arguing if you really do want to get a point across. And something about writing can be therapeutic a lot of times. And as you're writing it yourself. So there have been times, early in our relationship when I was still learning how to communicate with Wallace, I have written him letters before to explain to him why I was upset about something, because I knew if I said it, maybe I'm going to get too upset or we're going to be angry. And then it also gave him an opportunity to kind of take his time and actually read the words instead of, because so many times when we're in an argument, we're listening to respond. We're listening to have that comeback. Hey, Lisa, listening for that snappy comeback, that gotcha moment. And we're not really listening to understand. So if you really want to get a point across and be effective in your communication without arguing, without maybe saying something that you don't really mean, write it down and just, leave it on their desk, or leave it by their pillow on their nightstand somewhere where that they'll see it, and allow them a chance to actually read the words on paper and be able to comprehend and understand what your points are, instead of the back and forth, because now that gives them the opportunity to be alone with just themselves and your words and be able to fully process it without all of the dialogue and the distractions.
Because you all know how when you got a point and something pop in your head, you wait, all you're doing is you're not listening, you're just waiting on them to finish so you can put it out there.
Yep.
And that's what it is. You just wait and you're waiting. So you're not hearing anything they're saying. And a lot of times when I say in the heat of the moment, which is what it is, you're not processing anything. You're just listening. You're just listening for
like
something
double
to
dutch,
you.
just waiting for your time to jump in. When's
go?
my time? Yep.
Tell me when to go. Tell me when, just waiting on that time to stop so I can jump in. So that's why I like to say writing it down helps process it, or just really sit back and just listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. That means we should be doing a lot more listening than we are talking. But a lot of times we're doing a lot more talking than we are listening and processing really what someone's saying. So you're not communicating if you're the one doing all the talking.
Absolutely.
That's not effective communication in a relationship or in life.
Amanda said, yes, I'm a letter writer because I express myself a lot more than he does. Yeah. And that's the thing. And we're different. Men and women are different. Of course, people in general are different. And that's why a part of navigating the communication, like we were talking about, is also just watching and learning how someone moves and what their communication style is, seeing how they communicate with other people, seeing what they respond to and what their triggers are and certain words that you might not want to use when you're communicating. I share all the time how early on in Wallace and our relationship, we had a minor argument. Like, I don't even remember what the argument or disagreement is. And maybe it wasn't even really an argument. I don't think so. He had just irritated me by doing or saying something. It wasn't major.
I irritate you? You said that once before.
No, this was years ago.
Oh, it was years ago.
Yeah, this was years ago. Yeah. So he had done something and he called me and I was just like, you know what? I'm not feeling you. And he took that as like I wanted to break up. That had more to do with, I feel like,
just how you use words. Me being here in Texas, and where we're from, and you're basically from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and so
basically that's where I'm from. I'm from the East Coast.
Different words mean different stuff depending, in demographically and geographically.
We're a lot less sensitive on the East Coast.
Yeah. So certain words have different meanings. Someone say I'm not feeling you. Where I'm from, that means we about to throw down. Or then where she's from, someone say I'm not feeling you. That's like, hey, we finna sit down and have tea.
No, it's just not like that's something I would say to my kids, and that's what I told him that day. I'm like, I would say that to one of my sons if they did something that irritated me, and then they come in like, Mom, can you make me a sandwich? Boy, go sit down. I'm really not feeling you right now. It's not that big of a deal, but he a little sensitive. He always say I'm so mean. I'm like, no, I'm just not feeling you in the moment. Lisa said I had to work on that silent mode. Yeah, but it is silence. Man, and that's a good way to communicate as well. Sometimes even to get your point across. Now, I'm not saying be rude and just ignore people, but just to say, you know what, I'm not doing this. So you can argue by yourself. And that's the thing. I always recommend for people to introduce their actions so that they don't come across as rude. When I'm doing a lot of my corporate coaching, sometimes conversations do need to end. I never suggest, whether you're in a relationship, whether it's a business conversation or whatever, if things are going to a point where you don't think anything positive is coming out, it's never okay just to walk away from somebody in the moment, because that can just exacerbate the negativity. But if you announce that walk away, or you announce the fact that you're going to stop talking and you have your emotions in check, there is nothing wrong with saying, you know what, I'm done with this. So you can continue, but I no longer have the mental bandwidth to deal with this. So I'm not going to say anything else. And even say, like, I'm not trying to be rude. This is just what I have to do for my peace of mind in this moment. And that's even in business. And say, we need to table this conversation for a later time. And just walk away, but announce it. Because if you just do it and just stop talking and somebody's like, do you hear me? Do you hear me? And you're not saying anything, then that can seem a little petty and immature. But if you've already made that announcement, and if they continue to talk, you can just say, clearly, you're not wanting anything positive to come out of this. And I can't continue to do that because it doesn't make sense. I thought you were going to say something.
Oh, I thought you were going to read something.
Oh, no. I had just read that when I took it down.
Yeah, it just matter of, like I say, it truly is relationship is give and take. It's give and take, and you got to learn how much you can take, how much you can't take. But the thing about it is when you're in arguments and things like that, it comes to a point where it's all right, we're not getting any headway here. This is not going any further, and like I always say, the thing I say is about time. You never get back your time. Time is too valuable, too important, and you never get that back. So spending all day arguing about something, that's not really being effective, and Lisa says that about the silent mode. The silent mode works to a certain degree, but sometimes the person you're arguing with, really, that's what they want. They want that silence.
They want you to be quiet so they can keep saying whatever they say.
They want to say or keep going, but that even helps improve their point anymore. So it's definitely something you got to work, and that's why I say in communication to figure out, who you're in a relationship with, how they respond, how they react, different stuff. Some people respond to silence, some people don't. So some people just want to just sit and talk things through. But the thing about it is you got to be respectful of each other, and in those moments, you got to allow the other person to talk. So you can actually listen and process, not just letting them talk so they can get to a certain point so you can jump in, but you got to be willing to let them talk so you can share back and forth as to find out, really dig down and figure out what's going on with the issue you're having.
Because that's something else we had to work with our communication styles. I come from a background of communicators where we could talk over each other and still have a conversation where we understand everything. And I'm not just talking about.
I still disagree with that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't see. That doesn't. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And you just did it. He just did it. You see that? He just did it. We're gonna talk about self-awareness in another episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
But no, I come from he can see, and I'm not just talking about in arguing. So, and that's the thing too. When we're talking about effective communication, it's not just arguing. Of course, those are the things where you feel like that's where you're going to struggle. But we'll get to some other communication cues and things that we need to be doing when it has nothing to do with a disagreement that could end up leading to a disagreement if you're not communicating effectively. However, Wallace can watch my sister and I have a conversation, and he is completely like, how do y'all even know what the other one is saying? Y'all be talking at the same time, cutting each other off, bringing something into the conversation that wasn't even in the conversation. I'm like, well, we're fine. That's how we talk. That's how we communicate. But that does not work for him. And so whenever we're having conversations, whether it is a disagreement or a regular conversation, Wallace is more of like the tennis match type of conversation. He wants to, when the ball's over here, then you're talking. Then I'm done. I serve it back to you. And now you talk. And so we've had to kind of learn to compromise because, of course, I can't, nor do I have to change who I am and communicate completely different. But he has expressed to me that it is difficult for him to communicate with me when I'm just talking, because I will just interrupt in the middle and say something else. And so I have to be more aware of that. But even if I'm not, I can't be offended if he's like, babe, you got to let me finish what I was about to say. You can't do that. And so I can't be offended because that's his communication style. And at the same time, especially if I'm the one bringing the conversation and I'm kind of the one who brought up the topic, then he kind of lets me communicate the way I need to communicate. And so you have to have that compromise because people do have different ways of talking and how they share their ideas. And some people are completely distracted if there's a lot of interruptions and a lot of changes in the conversation. And some people, that's what works for them. And you have to be aware of that because no one's going to be able to really understand what's going on if they're distracted just by the way the message is being delivered. Does that make sense?
Yeah. A lot of times what happens in that though, and I'm one of these people where if I got a thought and I'm expressing that thought and then you come in and start saying something else and I lose my train of thought. Now I'm going back saying, what was I going to say? What was I going to say? And that adds to the frustration, especially if you're in a serious conversation, that adds to that frustration that I didn't get a chance to finish my thought. And the other thing is when you're talking and you're trying to say something and then the other person starts guessing what you're going to say. And you're like, no, let me just finish. And they keep trying to give you the ending. You're like, no, let me just finish saying what I'm saying. And then you'll know exactly. But that's just keep adding to the frustration. That's why I say it's always respectful to just let the other person finish talking to get their thought out. Because you trust me, when your turn comes around, you want to get your thought out. I think a lot of them back in what they used to do, like therapy or different little groups, little round tables, they would people would hold something, whatever the symbol is. As long as I got this, I'm holding. That means I'm the one that's in control of the conversation when I'm talking. And then when they get through talking, they pass it to the other person so the other person can start talking. And then once they get through, so everybody's being respectful, because whoever has control of, we'll just say the microphone, whoever has control of that mic in their hand or that rock in their hand, that's who's talking. And I think sometimes couples need to do that, so they can be respectful of who is actually talking and something like that, because that just adds to the frustration, because people act out in more anger, more, frustrated situations when they can't have a voice, because the action of the people that are voiceless, they can't express that, becomes violence. It becomes things like that. So because I got to get you to understand, I got to get you to listen. You're not listening to what I'm saying. So I have to respond in a certain way to try and get your attention. Right. And so that's why I say become more impactful and stuff when we can communicate, and I can be respectful of what you're saying. You can be respectful of what I'm saying, and we can actually listen and hear each other out. And a lot of times when you hear each other out, you're like, oh, that's what you're saying, because I've seen people have entire conversations about different stuff, and they never really get to the root meaning of what's saying, because the other person is really not listening to what's going on in the conversation.
And another pro tip is something that I just did, and I do this with Wallace now to help with because we both have the same issue. That's for me. Oh. We both have the same issue. Let me say hey to Lacey. Hey, Lacey J. Girl, you ain't late. You right on time. Whenever you here, you're right on time. I just appreciate you for being here. And y'all, if you watch my vlog that just dropped today about an hour ago, you would have seen that I have hit 500 subscribers on the good YouTube. And I think today I'm like at 504. And Lacey J and Lachey are the ones who got me over that hump, because I was in their live just chitting and chatting with them, and they shouted me out. And the next thing you know, the subscribers start popping. I sent a screenshot to her. It was at 500. By the time we communicated again, it was already at 502. Now today at 504. And every last subscriber counts. And I am always going to give people their flowers and their due. It might seem like a little thing to y'all, but that was major to me. And there is a very good chance. I was at 496 when I got into their live, and getting subscribers ain't easy out here in these YouTube streets. So I cannot guarantee that I would have been at 500 even today if it wasn't for their shout out, because it was like, as soon as she shouted me out and told people go over to their channel, I really love the content, I got those subscribers. So I thank y'all so much. And that's Kelly speaking to Lacey. Oh, thank you, Deborah. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, yay. I was so excited. But one of the things that I do when I talk with Wallace sometimes, because I am a person who interjects, and it's funny, and I do realize I only do that with like Wallace and my sister and my friends. So it is something that I can control, because I don't do it in business. It's not one of my habits. But when you feel more comfortable and lax, you do that. And there's a lot of people in my life, like my sister and even my sons, where I don't have to worry about it, because that's just how we talk. But with Wallace, it's different. And since he's expressed that to me, I will do like I did just now while he's talking, and he knows that I do this. And I would suggest that if you're going to implement this next tip, again, announce it and make people aware so it doesn't come across rude. But I'll just jot down little notes, because our issue is the same. I interrupt because I don't want to lose my thought and what I was going to talk about. And he wants me not to interrupt so he doesn't lose his thought. So what I do, if there's something I want to say to him, I'll just write it down, just write myself maybe just one word to remind me of what I wanted to say. So then that way I'm not interrupting him. I'm not no longer focused on him, because I'm not writing myself a whole script. I just write down one word, like it might just be door, because I want to remind him that he keeps leaving the back door unlocked or whatever, because we're fussing about something like that. I just said that because door and the door's there. But, so I'll just write down door because I want to remember to do that. And so that's something else that you can do instead of interrupting.
Yeah, but like she said, talk about, make sure you're writing notes, because you don't want to get to a point where someone's go back and forth. Oh, you're writing stuff down. Now write this down,
Yeah, you want to make sure that you're going to say, like, look, I know that I interrupt, and I know that that's an issue for you. So if, I'm not being rude, I'm still paying attention. I just want to write a note so that I can remember. Miss Kathy said, what do you do about a person that doesn't talk at all? I'm a person that likes to talk. We have counseled with couples like that. And so I shouldn't say counsel. That's just a word, because we're not counselors. We're coaches. But we have coached couples who have that exact issue, where one person likes to talk and the other person doesn't talk. And whether it's just general conversation or sharing feelings, they are just not on the same page when it comes to talking and sharing. In those cases, one thing that we suggested was actually scheduling time to sit down and have conversations. So whether that's over dinner with no TV, no distractions, and there are actually little card games that can help to just spark up conversations to make people more comfortable with talking. Or like what Wallace was saying earlier, what he used to do with me, just the interviewing, just asking questions, because some people are just kind of shy. Some people are more withdrawn and they're just not conversationalists. And so there are little things that you would do, because it's nothing that they're doing intentionally most of the time. It's just how they are. And maybe they've never even been challenged in that way before. And it's just not important. Some people are not big talkers and they'll even say, well, I'm just more of a listener, but you have to find a way to compromise, because I know if you're a big talker, sometimes you feel like, well, are you even interested? Am I boring you to death? You're not giving me any feedback. But it's something that you need to communicate with them and then come up with ways. And it may seem silly, especially like married couples, like, what am I doing, playing a game? It's just something to spark conversation and make them not feel so on the spot to have to come up with something to say, or, so it's just like, it's really casual. It's nothing, but it's just getting conversation started. And a lot of times when you play those games or whatever, where you're asking each other questions, after a couple of times, it will end up taking off to a different conversation. You'll end up laughing and joking about something, but it's like everything else. If it's not something that comes natural to you, you have to practice. And as the person who does like to talk a lot, you also need to be patient with them. And as long as you have a partner who is willing to try to work on it, then you can come around. Do you have anything else that you want to add to that?
I would say most of it is, if it's done lightheartedly, and it shouldn't always be done in a tense situation or a serious conversation. If it's kind of just something you do, and first of all, you got to start it. But if it's something you just kind of do, then of course that person that doesn't like talk, because everybody will talk and likes to talk, depending on what you're talking about. So once you find that, and that's all part of communication, find the likes and dislikes like that. And I always equate that to rediscovering who your partner is, and you start that out. It don't become like a little scavenger hunt with yourself, saying, we've been together for a while, let's just go back and revisit some stuff. I thought I knew this. I thought I knew that, because things change over time. Certain things of importance change over time. And if you're just lightheartedly talking about stuff and just bringing stuff up and things like that, it shouldn't always be about complaints or things like that. It should just be about life. And hey, what'd you do today? Hey, I saw you out there working on this, or I saw you in the kitchen trying to fix this. Tell me how you fixed that. So you're having those conversations in lighthearted moments, and that increases and helps out with that conversation, because it shouldn't always be just you did this or you did this. This needs to happen. This needs to happen. It should just be a lighthearted conversation. Just things kind of go back and forth.
And I think sometimes with people who are big talkers and big sharers, and they're dealing with, a friend, a loved one, a spouse, or whatever that isn't a big talker, sometimes those people just think that you're not even interested because you talk so much and they don't talk a lot. So they're like, well, you just be talking. I didn't even think you were interested. And so you might just want to take some time to just ask them questions. And even if it's something more, not just, well, how was your day? You might just want to say, what, I was just thinking about, something, in my childhood and whatever. Like, what is your favorite Christmas that you ever remember? Like, what is your fondest Christmas memory? Because sometimes people just think, well, you're always talking, you're not even interested. Amanda said, I've been married 25 years and I feel our communication is the biggest of our problems. I just have to get in the last word. Yeah, well, Amanda, we was just talking about that earlier. That cannot be the most important thing. It can't. You have to compromise and just know when enough is enough. Getting the last word really doesn't mean anything, because again, if you feel like the communication things are an issue, it's like the Dr. Phil thing, like, well, how's that working for you? Getting the last word in isn't the most important. And you'll realize as well that if you stop focusing on that and wanting to get the last word, you will feel a lot less stressed about things, because whenever that argument or disagreement is over, you both should feel better. And if you need to get the last word in, it's like, that's like the song that never ends, because what does that mean? And at that point, is the last word even relevant to what's going on? Amanda, I'm gonna get
that kind of goes back to that point where I said before, if you know you're right, what else does it matter? What else matters? Just know, if you know you're right, that's just the bottom line on it. So I can walk away knowing I'm right, but I'm gonna tell you something about that. When you know you're right and that's all that matters. It's when the other person finds out that you're right later on. And they come back and tell you, you know, you were right about that situation.
Mm-hmm.
That is the utmost feeling of, hey, I just shut it down. I let God work it out.
Oh my
And then now she's coming back telling me I was right about something. You talk about feeling good. And when it was in the argument, it wasn't even an argument. You know, once the argument stopped and once we agreed, I knew I was right. So, okay, I'll just let you, you know, we'll just find out later. And man, coming back later on and finding that out, and she come back to me, tell me, and I've done that to her too. I find so, oh, babe, you know, you was right about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you ain't got to sit there and do the touchdown dance. Oh, I told you so. I told you so. Just that feeling inside, like, I told you so. I knew
anyway, you are so welcome, Lisa J. You know I appreciate you. Miss Kathy said I had a friend like that, so I decided to leave him alone.
I understand that.
Yeah. I mean, no, she's talking about that just didn't like to talk.
Yeah.
I mean, because it can be difficult, but if you ever encounter that again, there's some tools to try, because, you know, some people, just like I said, are shy. I keep looking. Do you know where your dog is?
Right here.
Oh, okay, that little puppy, he just be disappearing. You both are giving good advice. Thank you. You're welcome. Hey, Miss T with the T. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy Sunday, girl.
Yeah, any other questions? Put them in the chat.
Any question? And then y'all know, okay, I did not put the link up here. Y'all know I'm bad with that because I'm a big talker. I'm getting better actively. So I remember when Wallace said that, let me put the link. If anybody wants to join us, if you have a question, comment, or whatever, and you want to share it and come up on the panel, go ahead and do that. And I wanted to also remind you that most of you are probably watching on the Stay Hall YouTube channel or on Facebook. And Facebook is doing a little bit better today with bringing the questions and everything over to the platform. But we are also streaming on TheHallWAY Life. So feel free to jump on over to TheHallWAY Life and subscribe to that channel, because our hope is to be able to separate the Stay Hall content from the Hallway content. But for now, we're going to be pushing it out on both until we kind of grow. And I think we're up to like 115 subscribers on TheHallWAY Live. So that is awesome. And I think I have a banner so to show y'all, because y'all know it's written a little different than actually. Let me see. I'll look for it. But the thing that I wrote down that I wanted to remember to talk to y'all about was communication has to leave your head at some point. So just because you're in a relationship, a long-term relationship, a long-term friendship, whatever the case may be, don't think that people can read your minds. Don't feel like, oh, well, we've been together for such and such. If he doesn't know this or that about me by now, you know, he just might not care. It's like, did you tell him that? Well, no, but he knows me and he should know that I like that, or he should know that that bothers me or whatever. No, not necessarily. People are not mind readers. People also, process information different ways. People's perceptions are different ways. Do not assume just because you've been with somebody for whatever amount of time, that means that they know all of your inner thoughts. They know what bothers you. They know, you know, like the whole having an attitude about something and just having the attitude and displaying the attitude, but not telling somebody what they're upset about. Like nobody should have to ask you 9 million times what's wrong with you.
What is that hashtag?
It's not a hashtag.
Well, what's that up there?
The LifeWay Life. The LifeWay Life. The LifeWay Life is absolutely nothing, y'all. It's supposed to be the Hallway Life, but it wasn't.
We advertised with somebody else.
It wasn't the Hallway Life. But yeah, do not think that people can read your minds, because they cannot. And if you want to have an attitude about something because you feel like they did something wrong or whatever, and they should know what they did and they should know why you have the attitude, that's not correct. If you don't want to talk about why you have an attitude, then don't be displaying the attitude. If you're not going to say what it is that's bothering you, then don't even bother to be walking around slamming doors, having your lips poked out, all that kind of stuff, because to me, that's petty. And that is trying to start something. You know what I mean? Like, I can't stand that when people are constantly acting a certain way. You're like, well, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Nothing. Or you should know what's wrong with me. If I knew, I wouldn't be asking you. Because a lot of times things happen and people are totally oblivious, even if they're the cause of it. Trust and believe, every time somebody does something that hurts your feelings or rubs you the wrong way, they are not always aware. Don't feel like, people are attacking you or whatever. If there is something going on and you need to talk about it, then talk about it. If there is something that's being done and it has upset you, then talk about it, because no matter how long you are together, that person is never going to be able to read your mind.
People try to say, well, I don't know when that ever happens. I'll just put it to you like this. You know how you have leftovers and you had that something you had from that steakhouse you went to, or that one of your favorite restaurants, you brought those leftovers home and you put them in the refrigerator, and you come back later on the next day and they're gone. Now you got an attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And someone's had you like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And you're like, what's wrong? Like, I'm not even thinking about it. It was just something in there. Right. Things like that. It's the small things like that. But you had to, like my grandmother say, I had my mouth fixed for that, and now it's gone. So those are things like that that can have causes attitudes and things like that. But you gotta be willing to talk about it.
Yeah, because I know, like, there's hopefully I did it right. Hey, Lachey, thank you so much for joining, boo. I enjoyed y'all live on Friday. I was talking about it before you hopped on, or you might have been in the bushes. I hope you heard me, because I was talking about how great you and Lacey J are. And also, all content creators, go ahead and feel free to drop your links. Y'all know I don't be fooling with that Nightbot. Don't know if I'm ever going to do it until I find somebody else to do it. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? But go ahead and drop your links, because we have some awesome content creators in the house. But yeah, I know a lot of women like have issues sometimes with, they change their hair, or maybe they're wearing a new dress, or maybe whatever, and their significant other doesn't mention it, and you get an attitude about it. They really may not have noticed. And men are just different. They don't pay as much attention to detail. Unless you do something drastic, there is a good chance that they didn't mention it. There is no shame. And if he has not mentioned it, just point it out yourself. Hey, I changed my hair. What do you think? And most of the time, like, I'll do that with Wallace sometimes, and he'll just look at me for a second like, oh, you did do such and such. It's cool. And the thing is, if they don't mention it, then 9 times out of 10, that's because they like it. You look good. They didn't really notice that you did something different. Because one thing about this joker right here, if he don't like it, he gonna tell me. Was I talking to y'all about that the other day? And I put on my outfit. I was singing for, I don't know if I talked to y'all about it or if I just said it in the blog, but I was singing at a gospel event last week. So yeah, it's been a busy couple of weeks, but I was singing at a gospel event, and I had an outfit on. I wore a beautiful African dress, and
it was beautiful.
I wanted to wear my girl KC. I don't think she's on this evening, but KC had ordered this dress for me, picked this dress up for me, and I absolutely loved it. And it was a Black History gospel event, and my idea was to wear my Tory Burch combat boots with it. And evidently, Wallace didn't like it. I thought it was adorable. No. But this is what Wallace says to me. And so here's another part of effective communication. Say what you mean what you say. Don't just drop little hints. But, again, self-awareness over here. But this is no. This was Wallace's question to me. Babe, was that the look you were going for? Did that turn out the way you had envisioned it? So he noticed. Now, had he liked the outfit, there was a good chance he may not have said anything. And again, I'm not offended. He's with me every day, but he gonna let me know when he doesn't like stuff. But don't drop them little hints. If you don't like the outfit, just say you don't like the outfit. What you talking about? Is that the look that you was going for? No. I got it on, don't I? I got plenty of other clothes in here. So if it didn't turn out right, I definitely could have. Don't be laughing at him, y'all.
Let me hold a rock now so I can say what I need to say. I thought it
Thank you, Deborah.
I thought it was beautiful. She looked beautiful in it. The reason I asked, because this dress was flown over straight from the motherland. And she had put this together. And a lot of you know that when you first get something and you put it together, you just want to make sure that's what you did, especially if you spent time in trying to put something together, because it came in that day. It's not like she had it for weeks trying to see how it mix and match. It came in that day to wear it that night.
Had it for weeks in my head.
Exactly. But in person, how some things come in, the colors don't quite match up. this may not fit the way you want to, especially when you put it in. So I just asked the question, is that the look you were going for? I mean, nothing fine. There was no angle. I was just straight.
Right,
yes,
straight from the motherland.
It was straight from the motherland.
It was, and I loved it. And I was like, yes, sir.
Elephant trunks is the look that means something
that I was going for. And my rule of thumb, so y'all, I am pretty much a plain Jane. I'm a tomboy. I love clothes and getting dressed up, but just on occasion and for a very brief amount of time. Like, I hate the fact I went to the gala yesterday. I don't think that y'all are going to see any vlog footage of me dressed up. I mean, got my face beat to the gods yesterday, as they say. My girl Val came over, did all of our makeup. I was sparkles from head to toe. Hardly took any pictures, didn't vlog it. And as soon as we got home, I washed it off, and my girls were like, we ain't even take no pictures. I took that makeup off immediately. However, when I do have to dress up, I like to put things together. I like, seeing outfits in my mind, but Wallace doesn't always catch the vision, and that's okay. You thought the boots were really cute with the dress. Thank you so much.
It was a cute outfit. It really was. It was a cute outfit. I was just inquiring, is that what you would look you into?
Okay, so here's another one yesterday. But the thing is, you have to be willing for that open communication in a relationship. Don't expect for your mate just to always say you look great and whatever. You want the truth. And my rule of thumb, that's what I was getting around to telling y'all, is I am more of a plain Jane and more of a, tomboy, sweats, whatever. I have to dress up a lot because of what I do, but it's not my fave. But when it comes to my hair, my makeup, my outfits, I am more concerned with what he likes as opposed to what I like, because he got to look at me a lot more than I do. I don't walk around like Morris Day with a mirror in front of me all day, and I'm me, but I like to dress for him. However, I can't do that with every outfit. I mean, if there's something that I really like, I'm going to rock it. But if there's something that he absolutely doesn't like, then I'm not going to do that. If he's just like, babe, I just really don't like when you do that. Like, he's not big on the makeup at all. And so yesterday, got my makeup done, and it was a lot of makeup, but I was going to be on stage in front of 500 people. And so it was a different type of event. But when I asked him about my makeup, his response was, do you like it? I'm like, well, yeah, it's fine. And he's like, well, that's all that matters. So I knew right
when it comes to stuff
he
like that,
like
if she likes it, I'm cool with it. That's all that matters.
Hey, Cece. Cece said, hey.
Mr. Stay.
Mr. Stay. I like that, Mr. Stay. I like that. We're going to keep that. Hey, Cece, thanks so much for joining us. And like I said, y'all, don't forget to jump over to The Hallway Life on YouTube if you can. I know I'm asking a lot. And subscribe to that channel so that we can
Or even check out TheHallWayLife.com.
Yeah, TheHallWayLife.com. That's what's scrolling on the bottom. That's our couple's website. Just has some more details about our story, I guess, and where you can actually get our courses for couples. And so we'll be talking more about that. We have The Hallway Life, our book. So yeah, we're all into empowering our couples. So another part of communication is, especially with couples, is keeping your communication within your couple's bond. When you have issues with your spouse or your significant other, the only person that you should be talking about those issues to are your spouse or your significant other. Your communication for your relationship is your communication for your relationship. You don't need to be having communication for your relationship with your mama and them, with your sister, with your coworkers. Hey, Kim, I just looked over to Facebook. See, I'm getting distracted. I'm like squirrel. Hey, Kim, thanks for joining us. You don't want to have those conversations with other people, because this is what happens. I'm mad at Wallace today. Wallace has really irked my nerves. He's done something that has really ticked me off. And I decide, you're so sensitive. It's just a hypothetical. Oh my gosh, y'all, he's so sensitive. I'm not mad at Wallace today. But so I'm mad at Wallace today. And he's done something that has really ticked me off. And so my first thing to do is to call one of my girlfriends, like, girl, you will not believe what he did. And and we just got to get it out. And we just got to tell them. And we want somebody to co-sign us on our rightness, right? So we want somebody to be like, girl, yeah, I cannot believe he did that either. And, they like to say, it couldn't be me. I don't know why you dealing with that stuff, whatever. So then next thing you know, now I decide, to have an effective communication with Wallace and bring the problem to Wallace. Or maybe Wallace and I have already talked about it, but we didn't come to a conclusion or a resolution at that time. And then I called my girlfriend, and now cooler heads prevail with Wallace and I. And so me and Wallace is back in love and everything is good. Well, now I done told my girlfriend how horrible Wallace is and how I'm just not dealing with this mess anymore. So that's still where she's at, because she didn't get to have the nice, warm and fuzzy conversation with Wallace. So now she still got an attitude with Wallace, and she looking at me like I'm crazy because, like, girl, you were so mad and you said he did all the things. It's just not a good look, because now you're bringing other people into your relationship in the heat of the moment when you feeling like, oh yeah, this is it. I'm not dealing with this no more. He gets on my nerves. And that's where you left them. And so now they have their opinion with Wallace, which can then bring you at odds with other people, because next time you mention Wallace to them, they're like, I don't want to hear nothing about Wallace. He's a creep. You know, I can't even believe you with him. And that's just not a good look. So our communication needs to stay between us, because we're the only ones who are in this relationship, and we're the only ones who are going to make the decisions for our relationship. So even though it may feel good to you in that moment to talk to somebody else, that's what therapy is for. That's what coaches are for. Vent to those people who have no skin in the game. They're not your friend. They're not your family, completely unbiased and just there to vent and maybe give you some good advice, because a lot of times our friends and families, they just want to say what they think is going to make us feel good. And if we're upset, they upset too. Where if you're talking to your therapist or a coach, they're going to give you sound information based on the facts, not based on the emotions.
And please don't go and make Facebook or any social media your sounding board for situations like that, because that's not good. That's not good. Because what's going to happen next week when y'all back in love? Because I had a friend of mine a few years back, him and his wife went through some stuff, and he put on all over Facebook and everything else how she was doing this and she was sleeping with this dude and doing all this stuff at the job and everything like this. And going back and forth, and she blasted him out there saying he doing this and doing all of that and making all these accusations. 2 weeks later, they hugged up at a restaurant together, said, "Me and my boo, we in love."
Right. So and everybody looking at them like, y'all are crazy. And so you definitely have to make sure that you have a relationship where the communication stays between you. And that should be across the board, just to make that type of pact from the very beginning. I mean, and that's the thing too. Don't wait too long in your relationship to start communicating. Like, a lot of people feel like in this beginning dating phase or whatever, everything should be surface. Especially, most of the time when I'm talking, my mindset is going to come from of a certain age, 40 plus, because that's where I've been most recently. I'm 52 now. So, I'm not talking a whole lot about maybe in your 20s and 30s, because relationships and dating and all of that do look different when you're younger. But when you get older and you're more in touch with who you are, and the type of person that you're most compatible with, the things that you're going to need in a relationship, ask questions and kind of put the things out there early on. And this is one of the things that I would say put out there early on when you say, well, how do you best deal with conflict? Like, if you have a conflict with a significant other or even a friend or whatever, are you the type of person who openly communicates about it? Or are you the type of person that holds it in? Do you share information and details about your relationship with your friends and family members? Like, those are important questions. And you don't want to wait until you're head over heels in love and whatever, and everything has just been surface for the most part, to find out that you're dating somebody who tells their mama everything. And that's something that you're just not good with. Ask those questions up front. And the thing is, a lot of times, even when you're in those early stages where we're just meeting that person's representative and they're like on their best behavior, people have not been asked those types of questions. So you're usually going to get an honest answer because you caught them off guard. So they don't have time to think of the colorful, flowery answer. And so there's just certain things that you want to ask. You can also ask things like, well, in your past relationships, have you had arguments that lasted, that have caused y'all not to speak for days or weeks or whatever? What do you feel about that type of thing? Because those things are important, because believe it or not, no matter how much in love you are, no matter how great things are during that dating process, there's going to be a disagreement at some point.
Right. And that's some questions you can ask in that relationship. When was the last time you had your heart broken? And And that'll let you know if that person you're dating is over their last relationship. You know, you start talking about things like that and having those open lines of communication. And kind of like what Cece says, they're definitely, you know, yes, 40 plus had to be a lot more serious on who you date. You have to, you know, you don't have time really to kind of be just
well, yeah, like
dating
Tamara,
and everybody.
Like Tamara so sadly broke it to us on my live with her on Thursday. We're headed towards the end of our lives.
Last chapter.
This is the last chapter. But that's the thing. You don't
What's the name from
have
Blacklist? It says how many? She says we only got so many summers left in our lives.
Right. Yeah, I was so sad. But it's true. And there's just not a lot of time. I know most women, you know, like me, I had no desire to remarry when I first met Wallace. And Wallace and I've told y'all our love story. We were just friends for a long time. And I really had no desire to be in a relationship. However, hey, Tamika. However, when we did turn that corner and realize, okay, we are indeed in a dating relationship, like this friend stuff, you know, is no longer what that is. We're dating. At that point, okay, now I am dating. I'm in a committed relationship. At 40, I'm not going to be your girlfriend for 5 years. Yeah. Like that makes no sense. And so I wasn't ready to get married like the next day, and neither was he, but we were both on the same page that, okay, we've spent this much time together. We've developed this relationship and decided that we want to be together. So we should be working towards getting married.
Yeah. I know in the early days of the hallway, when we first started talking about the hallway several years ago, we kind of recently started his YouTube channel, but not getting back into it. We kind of shared a little bit about that, about how we started, because we were friends and it really grew from there. I mean, we had been friends and talking and going different stuff and things like that. And before we knew it, it was a relationship, you know, from just a friendship, it moved beyond that, you know, and we had this day in our relationship we call Black Sunday.
Oh, goodness.
You know, it was just, it's Black Sunday because I had a couple events I had to do that Sunday. She was at home. I had talked to her that Saturday, but that Sunday it got late. I could say like late in the evening. It got late. It got to be about 5, 6 o'clock. And she called me and said, why ain't heard from you today? And I'm like,
because I never called him. He always called me. And I just realized, I'm like, this whole day is going by and this dude ain't called me today. And I realized I felt some kind of way. And you don't really just feel some kind of way when your friends don't call every day. So yeah, that was Black Sunday. I had to give in and like, you know what? I think I'm digging this dude.
Yeah, like I said, it just kind of, you know, that's natural. But it's just one of the things that kind of just happened. I was like, I don't know. Really. I said, I've been doing things today. And she's like, well, you just hadn't heard from you. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had done caught feelings. Look, Cece has a question. Should you date someone if their longest relationship was only 7 years?
No.
Yeah.
7 years is 7 years. So that's still an amount of time.
I mean, unless they've had like that question in and of itself to me is like, yeah, but I don't know, like, was their longest relationship only 7 years and they've had like tons of relationships that really didn't last? Like, was that a marriage? Because if the relationship wasn't right, 7 years is a long time to stay. Is a minute to be spent to hang out with somebody. Yeah. And I guess to me, there are red flags in people's past. Definitely. Like, pay attention to what people say. And you also want to, like, one of the things for Wallace and I, because, you know, we were both married before, but one of the things that we were really good at, because we didn't spend a whole lot of time talking about our past relationships, but it is important. We did talk about it. And one thing that we did is we both were accountable for the parts that we played in our past relationships. And so that's the thing too. If somebody has had failed relationships and they blame everything on the other person, like I was just the perfect partner, the perfect spouse, that's a red flag to me, because most of the time, now every once in a while, somebody can be in a relationship with someone who's just a straight narcissist, which we'll talk about that one day too, or really selfish. But most of the time it's two people. And there could be somebody who's more wrong than the other person. And like, where my issues I brought to the table, we probably could have worked through, but what they did, we couldn't. But you still want to be accountable for your part in it. Even if your part is, I stayed too long dealing with something I shouldn't have been dealing with, or I just stayed, you know, for the kids, but just realizing the part that you played. So that question itself, CC, I think we both would say, yeah, but you also kind of, you know, more details of why has it only been 7 years, and is that a pattern, or, you know, things like that. So That's what I
but
would
7
say.
years, that's a commitment. That's a good time to be able to hang out, be around somebody. So yeah, I definitely say it's worth investigating, finding out more about, that, and why at the end of 7 years it did end like it did. That's a good way of communicating and kind of, bringing down some walls and kind of, doing a little investigating there and a little more trust factor, finding out what exactly happened with
what the reasons are behind it. And another thing I was going to say, I kind of lost my train of thought, is the fact that, I did start talking about past relationships can play a part. You do want to know a little bit about what was going on in the past relationships. However, sometimes it just takes us a long time to be with the right person. Some people are like habitual relationship people. They get into relationships a little too fast, and they just were never with the right person, and maybe they've matured and grown and realized that they were getting in relationships too fast, and they were just never with the person they were supposed to be with. And so even if they've had failed relationships with other people, that doesn't necessarily mean that the relationship is going to fail with you. But it's about asking those probing questions, figuring out what it is, and knowing whether or not that person recognizes they're part of it. Because I have coached women who have said, I know why my relationships didn't work. I realize it now. It's because I was dating people I had no business dating. It was because I stayed with men who I knew I shouldn't have been with for as long as I was, just because I didn't want to have to start over. But now they've done the work and discovered in them what the reasons were for them having these failed relationships. And now when they have the opportunity to get into another relationship, they're going to be more self-aware. They're going to be more careful. They're going to take their time more. And so that's the piece of it. So it's a yes and no. You do want to find out, but you also want to realize, okay, so even though that was your past, what's different now? And how are you going to be different in your relationship? Because we've talked about things with us that we did or said or whatever in our past relationships that we will never allow to happen in our relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were looking at something.
I was just looking something up.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, that's the thing. And it's about having, again, communication and not being afraid, especially, at our big ages, to ask some of those questions early on. A lot of times, especially as women, we're a little afraid to ask some of those questions early on because we don't want to scare them off, right? Like, I don't want to start talking about marriage right away. But if you want to be married and that's your intention, is you're dating to find your mate or whatever, then ask those questions early on. It doesn't necessarily have to be first date, but I don't see what's wrong with second date, because second date, then there's third date, then next thing you know, we're 6 months in and I still don't know what this person's intention are. Before you even go out with someone, you can ask the question, I'm just interested. Why are you dating? Are you dating just to date, just to go out and meet different people? And, because it's fun, but you know that up front. Or are you dating looking for a lasting relationship? Because if that person really can't answer that question, or the answer that they give you is not on target with what your plans and desires are, look how much time you saved yourself, rather than going out with somebody for months and months only to find out that they're not really looking for what you're looking for. So don't be afraid to ask those questions, because they can scare somebody off. Okay. Yeah. But if that scares them off, then that's probably not the person for you. Yeah. Because Wallace made his intentions known in the beginning. And again, we were friends, and Wallace was dating when I met him. He wasn't in a relationship, but he would go out on dates when I first met him, because again, we were strictly friends. But even with that, because I even tried to hook him up with a couple of people, because I knew that he was wanting to be married again. He was looking for his forever relationship, and I thought he was a dope guy. And I'm like, you know what, my friend such and such, thank goodness he never ended up going out with any of my friends, but I knew that was his intentions. I knew he was a solid person. And so when we got in our relationship, I already knew what he was looking for. And so that's why I was a little apprehensive about going into the relationship with him in the very beginning, because I didn't think that I wanted to be married again, and I didn't want to waste his time.
Yeah, I think what it was is she saw it was too much of a project for her friends, and she wanted to win in those relationships. So
You're welcome, Cece.
She just take a chance with me.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't put you on nobody else. You got too much going on. But no, and that's the thing. And it goes both ways. And I feel some kind of way, because I'm usually saying as women, but I'm a woman, so that's what I know most. But again, Wallace was a man who was looking for his forever relationship, and it would be unfair to waste time. And I think that's the biggest thing. You just don't want to be out here wasting people's time, and you don't want to allow anybody else to waste your time. And you definitely don't want your time to be wasted simply because you were too afraid to ask the questions.
Yeah. Something I kind of want to do right now, if we can, kind of detour just a little bit.
What, give some business tips?
No,
girl, y'all, look, I said, girl,
No.
y'all, he did that to me one time back in the day when we used to go live all the time. He made this promise to the viewers that we was going to give them a bunch of business tips or something at the end of the live, and we were not prepared for any of these tips. And I'm looking at him like, who got these tips? Like, he put a number like, yeah, and at the end of this live, we're going to give you 5 amazing tips on how something crazy. Like,
it was a miscommunication.
We didn't.
It was a miscommunication.
Okay, hold on. We got it. Before you do this, let's just address these 2 things. What about a person that's been married 4 times and you're not trying to judge them? Again, that's a lot of marriages. It is. However, Miss Kathy, it's that conversation, because some people.
Over the periods of time, how long was this? 1 decade? Was this 1 year? They got married 4 times in the war. I mean, just it's questions that need to be asked and see what happened, you know?
Right, because it's always different. And again, if they've learned something about themselves through that process and realize, okay, that's what it is. Because again, some people just get married too fast. They fall in love. They're hopeless romantics, which that's not a good thing. So if they're able to say, this is the kind of person I was, and that's how I ended up married 4 times, because I fell head over heels in love, and then I proposed and got married and then realized I really didn't even know this person. If they have learned that about themselves, then, you know, it's worth a try. But again, that's a lot of marriages, and it is definitely a cause for pause. Yeah. But not necessarily kick them to the curb. But you have to have the conversations, like how, you know, with that many marriages, yeah, you want to know some details, like, well, what did each relationship end the same way for the same reasons? What part did you play? How'd you find yourself in that situation?
Are you a serial marrier?
Right. Yeah, because people do that. Yeah. And so you just want to be sure, because some people do, they fall in love hard and fast, and they haven't had any of these conversations. It's just all surface. And then they realize 6 months in, I don't even know this person.
It's been the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Miss Kathy, are they still living?
Who, all the while?
Yeah.
Now he on some 2020 stuff. Yeah. Hey, sunshine. Hey there. Okay, so go ahead, Wallace. I just wanted to make sure we were caught up on all the, over 10 years. That's a short amount of time for that many marriages. So it's a question. It's definitely a question. Yeah. Yes, they're all still living. Yeah, it's a conversation, definitely. Though you need to ask some questions, because that's not a long period of time. Okay, babe, what was it you wanted to do?
Lachey and Lisa J, something y'all were doing to stay happy. You know, I was kind of tuning in, watching you guys. The other nights, they had me watch you guys. You guys were going through your questions, you know, the best I ever had, which was, I like that tag.
Yeah, that was so great. Cute.
That was great. And, you know, we've been talking about interviewing each other and things like that. So I kind of thought it'd be kind of nice today. Maybe we just ask each other a few questions. You know, if you guys have some questions you want to ask us or something, or you want to respond to the questions we're asking, you know, I think it's something that, something to do. Have a little fun here.
You just coming on just like we have not discussed this at all.
We remember we were up and down about what was going to happen. It was such a crazy weekend.
Okay, so how's this going to go?
Just ask a question, you know.
I can't see over there.
Oh, I got you. You can see it. There you go.
Okay, so go ahead.
When we first met, what did you think of me?
I thought you were a really nice and respectful man whose clothes were too big. Yeah, you look like you had on your daddy's suit. See, you should know how to do this stuff. That's what it was. I mean, you look nice, but I was just like, his clothes. Why is his clothes so big? You had on your wide leg Steve Harvey pantsuit and oversized jacket. Yeah. Okay. But I thought you were really nice and respectful, and just you were a cool guy. Okay. So do you get to ask the question? Do you answer it now?
Yeah, you can ask me the question.
Okay, so when we first met, what did you think of me?
Thought you were beautiful. I was really into the way your accent.
Yeah, he used to always say, I love the way you talk. I was like, oh, well, thank you.
Wow, CC, I see you. Yeah, wow.
But that is see, you should know better. We should have rehearsed. See, it's that East Coast, y'all.
I thought your personality was great. And I thought you were all together there, and I really liked the package.
See, this is your game. I don't know what this has to do. Is this going to show us effective communication?
Yeah, it's effective communication. This is how you get to know, just having fun with it.
I didn't know what else to say. See, that was and he knows that. My first impression of him was like, why is his suit so big? Is that the first time you heard that?
No, that's not the first.
And that was the first time I met him. I was like, why is his suit so big?
Okay.
So I had to get him into wearing tailored clothes.
Mm-hmm. All right, the next one.
Okay.
What's your favorite memory of our first date? Because we're really first of all, we got to figure out what was our first date.
Yeah, that's because we had gone out forever, as friends before. What was the last thing you did for each other and didn't expect?
Let's go to hers. Let's go to
what is the last thing that we did for each other and didn't expect it? So what's the last thing I did for you and you didn't expect it? Hey, J3.
It was my the birthday party you threw for me.
Oh yeah.
That was probably one of the biggest things, the birthday party and how that was all set up, and it just kind of blew my mind the way you had musicians coming in, a lot of friends coming over, the way things were just kind of set up. And I was just in awe of how things kind of came together, because I really was not expecting it. I knew she had something going on, but I didn't think it was that.
Y'all, I got to tell y'all real quick what I did. I'm just going to give y'all a summary. So it was like a build up surprise, because people were flying in from out of town to celebrate his 50th birthday. And so, of course, it was going to be kind of hard to hide the fact that we have company coming in town. So my brother-in-law comes in town first, like that Thursday. And so I just set that up like, yeah, Fred just came to hang out with you for the weekend for your birthday or whatever. And then a couple of our other friends kind of came in the next day. And so he knew something was going on. And so we're probably going to do something. But then the morning of his birthday, we're just all here at the house having brunch, hanging out. And we have our downstairs is like all windows. And so the windows, the blinds are all open and it's exposed to the backyard. And he starts seeing strangers coming into the backyard and just setting stuff up, because I did everything here at the house. So all of a sudden there's a crew out there putting tables and things and setting up a bar in the backyard. And then the next thing you know, there's people coming with balloon arches and the big 50 and lights. And he's just kind of sitting here like, what in the world is going on? And of course,
setting up in the back.
Yeah. And so of course now he knows it's going to be a party or whatever, but he's just like, what's going on? So then the caterers get here to cake and he's just sitting here and I'm like, babe, just calm down. Everything is fine. And so then even at the, he's like, well, what am I going to wear or whatever? So I had already bought him his clothes. Everything was, laid out for him. But even as the night went on, other things happened. We had cocktail waitresses here and then, performers showed up. And so it just kept building throughout the night. And it really, like the front yard, Kim, if she's still on here, Kim Gant, yeah. She has a yard design business like for parties and things. So, she did a beautiful display in the front yard with baby pictures of him and current pictures of him and all that. And he was so shocked. So yeah.
I mean, there's been other things, but that's just when the first thing I think of, because that was just so mind blowing. And the way she kind of had orchestrated and put all that together. And I had no clue what was going on. It just all of a sudden happened. And that's the biggest thing. Like I said, there's been a lot of other things, but that's just the main thing. Like, and the question to you, I guess.
Yeah, for me, and again, it's the same. And this isn't even probably the most recent, but the thing that pops in my mind when I was writing my first book, I got to a process or a part in the process where I was just kind of like, I guess what they call writer's block, and just maybe thinking like, am I even going to finish this book? And I had given myself a deadline. I had announced on January 1st that I was going to be releasing a book on Mother's Day. And so once I say it, that's what I'm going to do. And I just really got to a point in the process where I felt like, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. And so Wallace just had me pack a bag one day, jump in the car, and he took me to San Antonio, which isn't far from us, about 4 hours. And he had gotten us a lovely hotel room. And it was like in the middle of a snowstorm of all things here in Texas, and took me to a beautiful hotel and just said, just right. You just needed to get your eyes on something different. He said, I'm going to take care of everything. We're going to order in food. And then, of course, the hotel had a restaurant. And he's like, so whenever you want to take a break, we could just go downstairs. We don't have to, just away from all distractions. And I was able to get a huge part of the book finished, like almost completed in that weekend. And we were there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he just took care of everything. I didn't have to, because at home, you know, there's distractions like, oh, I need to put a load of clothes in the wash. Oh, we need to get something to eat. And that was his thing. You just need to get your eyes on something different. And it was completely unexpected. And I guess the reason why that one pops out to me so much is because he knew what I needed, even when I didn't know what I needed. And he still had that faith in me that you're going to get this book done. Because I was already planning like, okay, what am I going to get online and tell the people about why this book ain't coming out? And he was like, no. And so he took me. And so that is,
yeah, overlooking the Riverwalk.
Yeah, we're overlooking the Riverwalk. And yeah, it was awesome. No, I did not jump out of the cake, but I was dropping it like it was lukewarm, y'all. I couldn't quite drop it like it was hot, but I was kicking it on the dance floor. I was trying to, do a little something. Seems like a really good conversation. I'm definitely going to have to watch the replay. Hey, Trish. And y'all don't forget to drop your links. I'm trying to make sure I'm getting the comments. Everybody's saying hey to each other. Oh, thank you, Lachey. Thank you. Yeah, we have a pretty cute little thing going on here. And I could just say, but it took work, and again, this is not our first go round. So we've done work, we've done the work for ourselves. And so I do pride myself in our little marriage. I think we have a good thing going on. And I realize that, we have this because of some of the bumps in the road from the past that have made us be able to have a solid relationship.
What was the question going to be? What's your favorite memory of our first date?
What's my favorite memory of our first? Oh, well, we couldn't really identify our first date, but I can say our favorite date early on was the date that never ended.
Oh, yeah.
So I was at a restaurant and Wallace had given me a call to ask where I was. And we weren't quite dating yet, but this is like when our relationship was starting to take that turn. But he was at work and gave me a call and was like, hey, what you up to? And I said, well, I just pulled up at Rio's for lunch. And it was like maybe around 11:30, 12 o'clock. And he's like, well, do you mind if I join you? And I said, no, come on up. And he was like, I was getting ready to go grab lunch too. And so he came up and he joined me for lunch. And we talked and talked and talked. And he never ended up going back to work, y'all. We were there. We had lunch. We were there through happy hour. And then we had dinner. We were at that restaurant for like 6-7 hours, just talking. Shift changes. Servers change and, people coming and going. And we just talked. He never ended up going back to work. I never ended up going back to work. And that's one of my favorite memories of our dating life. Hey, Monique, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you, girl. Hey, Tim. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate y'all so much. Hey, but Monique. Yeah, so that is definitely one of my, and again, we can't really pinpoint our first date so much just because we were already hanging out and going out all the time. And I don't remember where the first place or the first thing we did after we had the conversation. Like, yeah, we're a couple. I don't remember what we did after that.
I have to see if you approved that question there.
No, I don't care.
Okay.
That's up to you. I mean, go ahead.
Smack those thumbs. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim. Yes, y'all. Hit those thumbs up. Yes, please share, comment, all the things. And again, if anybody has anything that they want to share, we're no longer talking about communication as much, but this is communication. Yeah. Yes,
this is showing you how we communicate.
But I love the fact that definitely need a part 2 of the Q&A. Yeah, I love that. And if anybody has any questions, I love the fact that Lisa J decided to ask us a question. We're pretty much an open book. So if anybody has any questions that they would like us to answer, y'all can go ahead and do that because we'll be on for just a couple of more minutes.
Yeah. Okay. What physical feature of mine do you like the most?
What physical feature? Could that be this beard and this bald head? Because I love this bald head. Love that head. Could that be it?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
You're just so cute. And your little round cheeks. I love your little round cheeks. You got the same cheeks as Juicy Baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They're just completely round. I love that. You're just so fine. You blow my mind. It's everything. And look at your little lips. You're just so cute. It's just everything. Sorry, y'all. That was a moment. Well, what about me?
I love your hands. I think
My
you got beautiful hands. Yeah, you got beautiful hands. Legs. I love your beautiful legs. Oh. Oh. Yes. I get it wrong. Oh.
Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
This is what we do. I'm sorry. This is what we do.
Let's see. Wait, what did Monique say? Was that Monique that said to this dude? Oh my God. This dude said you're yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm a snorter, sunshine. I snort. Yeah, it's bad. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing. But okay, my hands and what else? You in my neck?
Yeah, your hands and your neck, your legs. You got beautiful legs. Yeah.
Okay.
Was it Amanda sound like?
Yeah. I can't even. Oh, this is worse than talking to Jody last night. I just could not. Okay, gain our composure. We are live. We are professional.
Let's get this
life
right.
coaches and couples coaches. Yes.
All right, next question. What personality trait of mine do you find attractive?
My biggest thing with you is your leadership style.
Okay.
Would that count? Like, I love that. Like, Wallace has helped me so much. And when I say leadership style, it's like in business and personal. Wallace has helped me a lot with my parenting. When we met, my youngest son was 8 or 9. And so Wallace has really helped me in raising him. And I was more of I don't know what kind of, like, I was a disciplinarian, but I cared a lot about like my kids' feelings and not wanting them to be mad. And so I would discipline, but then I wouldn't really stick to stuff the way I needed to and things. And I just saw the way Wallace moved with his kids and the fact that he is a very strong disciplinarian, but they love him to bits and pieces and respect him so much. And so he just helped me because I was almost afraid because, I just wanted my boys to like me and I didn't want to give them a childhood that they had to heal from. I didn't want to cause trauma. And he showed me that. And then how he was when he was in corporate America, and he was the same way with his team at work, basically like he was with his kids. He would be strict with his team. He had certain guidelines. He had certain things that he needed for them to accomplish, but they loved him for it, and still to this day will call him for advice. So that's my.
I love your confidence.
Oh, thank you.
That's very attractive. You're how you know, hey, I can do this. I'm into this. I have no problem in the world, and that's why I love supporting you. And when certain things go along, that's why I want to make sure I can keep that confidence in you. I don't ever want to tear that confidence down, because I think that's a big part of why we are where we are in business world. And what we're doing is a big part of your confidence and your style and going that. I think that's very attractive, sexy.
Thank you, babe. We probably need to get ready to end this because we have gone definitely off the rails. Let me see. Do you have any more questions on your little thing? Hey, Miss Seal. I'm looking over on Facebook because everybody doesn't always.
What do you find irresistible about me?
What does that even mean?
Hey, that's what.
Okay, well, you answer that one first because I don't even know what that means. I'm with you, so you're just irresistible to me, or I wouldn't be here. It's just you, your effervescence.
My effervescence.
Your presence.
What I find irresistible about you?
Mm-hmm.
You smile.
Oh, see, I guess I'm not. Broad enough to
it just makes me kind of melt, your smile.
My smile, especially when I cover with my hands.
Oh, this is a good one right here.
You love my hands.
I love your hands. How would you describe your initial feelings for me in one word? Oh, I love that. That's a good one.
My initial feelings for you in one word. One word. Okay, you answer first.
I'm thinking on myself. That's a
Oh
good
yeah,
one.
in one word. So
Yeah,
why
that's
you
deep.
ask?
That's deep. I just thought it was a good question. It's deep.
I don't know. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Give you that wow factor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about that. I'm about that life.
Mm-hmm. What's your snap? Because of the hands?
Drawn to, I guess.
That's 2 words.
Oh.
Drawn. It could just be drawn. Okay. That's
like some drawn butter.
So crazy. Let me see. People just saying hi to each other. Chat. Y'all, thanks for putting up for our foolishness. Oh, I know. Lisa J said that laugh. Yeah, definitely genuine. I try to hide that laugh. Amanda said, I knew when I met you on Facebook, it was for a reason. I love it all. Thank you, Amanda. I love the fact that we have connected. Wallace, I'm not answering no more. See, every time you say "oh" to a question, it's like, no, we're not answering. But we do need to do one of these with the question or answer. But was there another one?
This will be the last one. Okay. The last one. What's the cutest nickname I've ever given you?
Cup of cake.
Yeah, cup of cake. Not cupcake.
Cup of cake. I don't know what that is, but yeah, what's the cutest nickname I've ever given you?
I love Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear?
Yeah, Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear. So yeah. Any more of your questions?
Oh, let's see.
But y'all see, like this, even if you are like, y'all see that genuine snort belly laugh I just gave. If you are having any issues with communication in your relationship, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about doing, like not trivia pursuit questions, these type of questions, because as I told y'all, you'll end up laughing about something. It'll end up going into a different direction. It opens you up to think about things that you may not have even thought about before. And that can just get the conversation going. And those are ways to kind of break the ice if you're having any issues in communication. It's easy. It's not, anything where anybody is going to feel pressured. You just ask the questions. Okay, I think that's everybody just saying hi. Okay, what was the one that you just saw?
You
said ooh to something.
Ooh. Describe the perfect kiss in 3 words.
Quick.
Quick.
I'm not a big kisser.
2 more words.
Quick and fast.
Quick and fast.
You always get on me about the kissing. Why would you even ask a kissing question? I'm not a big kisser, y'all. What's the perfect kiss to you? It's the opposite. What is your perfect kiss?
Moist.
Y'all, I can't stand
and lingering.
I cannot stand him. Okay, we have a question from somebody who ain't messy like you. Let's see. Lachey, what was the biggest fear of remarrying that you help each other overcome?
Yeah.
For me, the biggest fear of remarrying, I had 2. I have, 3 sons. I didn't want to bring somebody into their lives and them to get attached only for it to fail. I'm like, they've already been through the divorce and whatever. And then it was the same thing for me. I didn't want to get all involved and then only to have it fail, because I didn't ever want to go through that again. And so Wallace helped me with that. And he used to say to me all the time, his little phrase is, love lives here. Love lives here. And he would always tell me that. Yeah, and happiness lives here. Happiness lives here. And he would always just reassure me that there was no doubt in his mind that we were good. I don't even know, what was your fear? Because you never expressed any
Being appreciated.
Oh, okay.
Being appreciated, and
you wanted to make sure that you were in a marriage where you were going to be appreciated.
Yeah, to be appreciated, and that what I had for what I was providing mattered to the relationship, wasn't just being taken for granted. That was the biggest part of it. You helped me a big part with that, with feeling appreciation and showing that you do appreciate me. You're telling me that you appreciate me. Doing things for me, little small things here and there, and just showing that you really appreciate me and us being together. And that's a big part of it. Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question, Lachey, because our answers were a little bit different as far as, those were the biggest fears. So, so I hope that answered the question. Did you have any more on your end?
No, we're going to say those for the next time. I like how we can end these on questions. I love it.
Oh,
somebody even said that at Q&A. Yes, that's a good way to end it. Yeah, Lisa J and Lachey, I like that.
Yeah, he be watching y'all with me. It's so funny because Wallace never used to be into this stuff that much because, again, when we did this before, we were actually at a studio on a radio show. But now with us being on YouTube and everything, I watch other YouTubers. And in the beginning, he just used to ignore me because he thought everything was just like a makeup tutorial or whatever. And now he's like, oh, there's other people out here who do what we do. So, yeah, he likes it. And he know everybody's name. He be asking about J3 and Miss T and Lachey. You see, he's like, yeah, just like Lachey and Lacey. So, yeah, he a part of the family. Lux, you gonna say hi to the people?
Lux will get in on for you. Tell everybody bye.
But one more time before we sign off, I just want to ask you guys if you can jump over to the Hallway Life, and you have to put that @ in at the Hallway Life on YouTube. Subscribe to that channel because I do want to make sure that we separate the content and have our couples and that type of conversations over there, and then just stick to more of the regular Stay Hall stuff that we do. I thank and appreciate all of you for all the likes, all of the comments, for tuning in. You guys are absolutely amazing. It's so much fun, and I'm super, super glad that we decided to come on live today because I was so tired. Oh, cute. No, it's not a full poodle. He is a Maltipoo. So he is Maltese and poodle, and he is a spoiled brat. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, Cece. I appreciate y'all. Well, y'all know the drill. Thank you, Deborah. I love and appreciate each and every one of you. I love you to bits and pieces, and you guys make this so, so much fun for me, and we look forward to it each and every time. And y'all know the drill. Always be kind, always love one another, but never forget to live your life. L.Y.F.E. Love yourself first explicitly. And we'll see y'all in the next one. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. And go watch the vlog. Your girl just dropped the vlog today.
Thank y'all for joining us in the hallway.
All right. Bye.